Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? I pray you're well. How are you? I'm gonna shut this off. Hi. Good morning, Yvette. Hey, Donna. Good morning to you. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. I hope continues to heal well. Good morning, Karen. Hope things are well with you on this incredibly beautiful day. Cecile, good morning. Hello. How are you? I hope you're doing all right. Great to see everybody this morning. Pray you're good. This is truly, I think, the first day when we really kind of walked out this year, and yeah, we had that little spell of warm weather there a lot earlier, but I mean the real, like, when you knew like summer had arrived, and walked out, and the ground wasn't cold, and we were just beginning to enter into the beauty of summertime here. We're just a week away before the calendar actually turns, but it is, and today here is just glorious. So dark and dreary. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Donna. Well, I hope it turns for you. But so good morning, everybody. Let's get going this morning. I pray you're well, and I pray you're whole. It is the 14th day of June, the middle of June, at 11:11, and I am glad you're with us. I'm glad that you found your way here. I'm glad that this is a part of your day. I'm glad that you're choosing, in my hope, to not just to be a part of this community, and whether I can see you and say your name, or whether I don't know. Hey, Vicky, good morning. That whatever it is, whatever that is a part of your day, that making this a part of it is, I hope, will be an encouragement and a strength. Not even just because I'm going to say all these brilliant things, which, who knows what's going to happen. It's live, baby. But that more that we are, that your choice to carve out a moment of time, to carve out these few minutes that we'll spend together today, that act has the ability to move 1,000 things. That act opens you up in a way to the right things, and the beautiful things, and the true things in your life. That you've made a choice just by the act of hearing my voice, that is already moving you towards the good, the true, and the beautiful. That's already moving you towards heaven itself. So this morning, I want to go in, spend a little time in Exodus. So Exodus, is the book. So you have Genesis and then Exodus. So Exodus, Exodus, this leaving. It is really the story of the Israelites being broken out of captivity by Moses and God, and led across the desert into the promised land. So the oppression of Pharaoh, it's the leaving of the oppression of Pharaoh, and moving through all of the difficulties and the problems, and the opposing armies that they will meet, until they get to the place that God has appointed for them. So, it's this whole kind of also, but what's happening in that, which is true of what happens whenever we go through trials, whenever there's a trial, is there's also all of these formations. That a good part of the book of Exodus is also all of these rules, right? We think about the Ten Commandments being the big ones, but there's a whole lot more, hundreds and hundreds more actually, that actually get laid out in this time trial that they're going through in Israel. And so there's all these instructions that come from God. And in the 22nd and the 23rd chapter, there's just these instructions. The simple, all this stuff, do this, don't do that kind of stuff. It's there's the 23rd chapter starts with, don't gossip. That Dante actually said that gossip was one of the lowest planes of hell, was reserved for the gossipers. And here we find it, thousands of years before Dante. Don't link up with bad people. And be careful who your company is, and don't go along with the crowd just because they're doing the wrong thing. Uh, you know, um, don't get into a battle of false accusations. Don't lie. Don't make accusations of other people. Make sure, if you're a guy, make sure you go to church. Like, literally kind of says that. Like, there's all these instructions, right down to kind of no cheeseburgers, right? Which is kind of the last one in this long list, which is don't boil a kid in its mother's milk. So that's always been that within the Judaism, that's interpreted that you can't have dairy products and meat products in the same bowl, the same meal. So there's this way that cheeseburgers aren't kosher. So anyway, it's funny what happens with all these things, right? But this is what I want to get to today. Is that all of that, in the context of all of this rule giving and all the do this and don't do that, at the end of it, here there is kind of God sending out, and it's so like, okay, told you all the things you need to do. Now let's go. And he says this. He says, now get yourself ready. I'm sending my angel ahead of you to guard you in your travels, to lead you to the place that I've prepared for you. Pay close attention to him. Obey him. Don't go against him. He won't put up with your rebellions because he's acting on my authority. But if you obey him and do everything I tell you, I'll be an enemy to your enemies, and I'll fight those who fight you. I want to talk today about this notion of angels, this notion of what it is to have the angelic go in front of us. I will send an angel to guard you in your travels, to lead you to the place I've prepared for you, to guard you in travels and to lead you. So these the two tasks of an angel, okay? The two angelic tasks: guard and lead. This is what angels do. And now let's talk about this for a moment. And so these angels that we have with us. Now when we talk about angels, what do we mean? There is this way in which I think the angelic are these movements, are these principalities, are these encounters with truths, are these nexuses of energy, and of which when they come to us, they tell us something. Because the foundational idea of an angel is a messenger. In fact, that's what angel means in Greek. The Greek translation evangelos simply means messenger. So the messages that we are receive. And so I want to boil this down. I want to kind of pull us out of the thousands of years ago mists, and I want to look at us right here and right now in the lives that you and I are living in the midst of the world in which we're living in. Is that God has sent us message. God has sent us an angel. God has sent us principalities that are not only working against us, nexuses of power and energy. We've talked about this before, but also sending us power for us to guard us in our travels and to lead us to the place that He's prepared us. So that and that our job is what? Pay attention and listen to this. Now, what does that look like? I think what it looks like is that, and what God is doing through our angelic encounters, through these messages that we get, through these, and they're not simply like slips of paper passed across but they have power and energy in them. They are true entities in that sense. They truly bring something with them when they show up. When the way a beautiful piece of music brings something with it when it shows up. That it moves you in a way. It changes you. It transforms you. It opens you to something better and pushes you away from something worse. This is an angelic movement. And our invitation is to listen for these and watch for these and obey them. Now this is I think this might be a little bit different of an idea than we're normal to thinking about when we start thinking about the idea of obey. We think of the idea of obey. We just got a long list of do this and don't do that in Exodus, and now it's this: pay close attention and listen to the goodness of your life and obey it. When we're talking about obey, it's not about this kind of heavy hand that weighs over us, that's just about ready to beat us with a stick if we don't get it right. That we're poised for destruction if we don't. But it is about listen. It's about hearing and listening to the beauty of our life, and hearing the beauty of our life, hearing the good things of our life, hearing the invitations to goodness in our life as the voice of the angelic inviting us into. You see, this is the thing, is that God loves us so much that the whole structure of the relationship, the whole structure of how we're built is such that God's never going to force us. This angel won't put up with our rebellion because he's working on my authority. But when he says he won't put up with his rebellion, that isn't a threat. That's kind of just the way things are wired. Is that when we start to turn away, God's not going to force us to look at the beautiful. God's not going to force us to take in the good. God's not going to force us to be a better partner, to be a better parent, to be a better friend, to care for ourselves better, to lean into the world and towards the good and the truth and the beautiful wherever we find it. God's not going to make us do that. Because that's opposite to the nature of God. God gives all of these rules. God spent literally chapters of Exodus giving these rules, not as a do this or I'm going to get you, but a do this because I want goodness for you. And here's the goodness. Here are invitations to goodness. Here are invitations towards the beautiful things in your life and your life becoming more beautiful. And becoming more like that angelic power that you encounter that gives you that incredible feeling of beauty or of joy or of wonder or of innocence or of peace. That when we encounter that, it brings us and it's not only this invitation into it, but it guards us. It guards us. The discipline of thankfulness is the easiest one to talk about in the sense of, if you want to guard your heart from depression, from despair, from hatred, from bitterness, from resentment, one of the things to do that is to call upon this principality of thankfulness, this gratitude kind of thing, because it's so hard for those things to take root in our heart if we are constantly encountering thankfulness. You see how it guards us? You see what I'm saying? It's that the two realms of what the angelic is doing for us, what the angels are doing for us, is to guard us and to lead us. Now, this leading thing, when we are led by the thing, I don't know about you, but half the time I'm led by my tummy, and because it's just, oh, that looks good, I like some of that. But we're really led by our heart. We're really led by our affections. We're led by the things that we like. Oh, I like that. I don't like that. And it's rarely conscious if we really, this is what Bernays and the marketing world and Madison Avenue figured out long ago. If you can start to pick at people's appetites, if you can pick at their passions, you can lead them anywhere. You can get them liking all manner of things, which may not be good for them, or may not be even beautiful, may not even be joyful. But if you can excite a passion in that, and we can be led around all over the place. what the angels are doing when they come close to us, when they offer us the true, the good, and the beautiful, is they are actually opening us up to being led into the more beautiful things. And it's our job to obey those. This is really that, we think about the beautiful things in our life, or the deepening a relationship with somebody that maybe it's a little separate. We think about that as like, oh God, how do I do that? But rather than simply sit back, look for the opportunities, look for the moment, just pay attention to it. We don't have to be heavy-handed. Just pay attention to what might open. Pay attention to the invitations that show up. And then obey those invitations. Obey the goodness. It doesn't always go well, and sometimes it's better, worse than better, and sometimes things. But I am convinced that overall invitation and that overall continuing to respond to the goodness of life and to saying yes to it, as if it were a command. This is the thing. We experience it as an option. But if we were to take this seriously and take our angelic encounters seriously and understand that the best thing we can do is actually treat them like commands, we can actually, oh God, there's some beauty, there's some goodness. I could step into that goodness and beauty. I could go to that concert and hear something beautiful. I could get closer to that person, and I could spend some time with them. I could commit my hand to a task and do it really well, and the desire, my desire to kind of excel and do well at that could bring more goodness and order and usefulness into the world. That everywhere we find, we think these desires are like options. We think there's like this smorgasbord. That's how our heart experiences them. But God's invitation to us is actually to take them really seriously, to take them with an idea of a difference between rebellion and being a good part of the world. Today has all of the has a bunch of different trappings to it. It's Flag Day for one thing, where this time when we kind of the flag of the nation is lifted up and honored and celebrated in some ways. It is also National Bourbon Day, which that's kind of exciting. It's also the Army birthday, which for me, who served in the Army, that was actually a big thing. That the celebration of the Army birthday when you're in the uniform was actually exciting and a big part of it, because it was truly the birthday of this institution that you're a part of, that you kind of live and die for. But all of those, if you think about all those celebrations. Now, there's certainly parts of those celebrations we can all look at. Now, they're very different parts of life, right? Like, one is, one is the Army, which we can say, well, that basically its job is to break stuff and destroy, and kill people. That's not all that exciting. Or we can look at the flag and we can say, oh, this is the boot of government on our neck. Or we can look at bourbon and we can say, oh God, the horrible, addiction of spirit and alcoholism. We can look at the negative of all that. But if we also lift those things up, there's also beauty in each one of them too. That we stand, that those who stand in the armed forces, those who stand in the Army, stand there not because they, or hate the world out there, or hate and want to go destroy, contact and destroy the enemy, that's their greatest love, but that their greatest love is that which is behind them, and which they seek to protect and keep whole. That Flag Day is not about celebrating our hegemony and power over the rest of the world, but about saying that there is good and true and beauty in our communities and in our life together, both as a nation, and that the spirit of that has goodness in it, and its celebration of freedom, and its celebration of the right and the Bill of Rights and all that comes in. And even bourbon, there's the deliciousness of not just it's the palate of deliciousness, but all the wonderful and beautiful things that can happen around the solace that a glass of bourbon can bring after a hard day, or the celebration it can bring when shared with great friends, and the way that the spirit rightly used can have this really beautiful and magical quality to our lives. That all of that has this way about it, but those there are angels behind that. There's invitations in all of that towards the good and the true and the beautiful, and we are bound. We're not, it's not an invitation, even though we experience it as an invitation, and it kind of is an invitation. We can say no to it. But for the goodness of ourselves, for the goodness of our being, for the goodness of the people that we love, for the goodness of our community and everything else, that actually treating it more like, God's impetus to say, don't go against these things. Don't go against these things, because there's goodness in them. And they will what? They will guard you and keep you safe. And they will lead you to the place God's preparing for you. Because the reality is, we can't not. We can't, the kind of lie that we tell ourselves is that, well, we can just kind of hold what we got. We can just hold the turn, and we don't have to do more. We don't have to lean into more. We don't have to be other than we are. We can just kind of survive the rest of this thing and maybe just gut it out, or maybe the decisions I'm making around these things, that particularly even these insignificant ones. Do I have coffee with somebody? Do I not? Do I do a good job at my job, or do I just slack off, or do I just even these simple little ones that go unseen, that nobody talks about. It actually leads us to a place where we can't. But the reality is we can't not. We think we can't. We think we cannot. We think we can somehow straddle this line and just make a idle decision. But the reality is, every single breath, every single rejection of the angelic invitation, or the acceptance of the angelic invitation, actually moves the very foundations of the world. Now, we may not see it, we may not know it, we may not experience it that way, but that doesn't make it any less true. And we must become as like the angels. That we don't have a choice to just kind of stay still. No matter how scary it seems, no matter how difficult it seems, no matter how impossible it seems, no matter how the fact that we can't, we're just in the fog bank and we can't see the way through. All of that is distraction from the simple reality that everything tips us a little bit more towards the heavenly, and invites us towards the place that God has prepared for us, or pushes us away a little further into the dark. C.S. Lewis, in kind of his most, kind of beautifully playful way, he said it this way. He said, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg. We are eggs at present. And you cannot go indefinitely being just an ordinary, decent egg. We must be hatched or go bad." Friends, my hope for you today is that as you move through your day, and the invitations of the angels come for you, the leading of the angels in your life, the leading of these beautiful, these impulses towards beauty, these impulses towards joy, that will never coerce you, but only invite you into them, that you will say yes to them, that you will obey them, that you'll let your revolutionary little heart, and it's not just your heart, all hearts are revolutionary, that you don't let them turn away, but that you hear it with a little more power and a little more zing and a little more importance, because there are wings for you. There is a hatching for you. There is a place for you. There is a goodness and a truth and a beauty that is yours that surpasses all others that you could understand. And it is being guarded and it is being invited by your angelic being and self. And so as I hope you will listen for the angels among you, because they are there, friends, and they want not just to make a good, decent egg of you, but to give you wings and to hatch you into heaven. All right. Peace and grace, my friends. We will pick it up tomorrow with another 1111.